G'day folks, welcome to the Aussie Report. Australia's abortion debate has become one of the country's most emotionally charged political battlegrounds. At the centre of the storm stands Dr Joanna Howe, a South Australian law professor whose campaigning style has drawn both fierce support and heavy criticism. To supporters, Howe is a determined advocate fighting for unborn children and exposing what she believes are dangerous abortion laws. To critics, she represents a new wave of aggressive political activism that pushes beyond debate and into intimidation. The question is no longer simply about abortion. It is about influence, power, pressure campaigns, and where the line should be drawn in Australian democracy. Recently, anti-abortion demonstrations connected to Howe and her supporters gathered on the steps of South Australian Parliament. Footage from the event shows activists setting up publicly before police eventually moved in to shut parts of the gathering down. The scenes quickly spread online, becoming another flashpoint in a debate already boiling over across Australia.
So we're here outside South Australian Parliament because we want to make history. It was in this place where they sold abortion up to birth in 2021 under a lie. They said it was about decriminalisation when in fact it was about removing upper gestational limits for abortion so that a baby could be killed right up until the moment of birth. We're here today because we want to expose to the people of South Australia through art the humanity of these children. We want to rehumanise the unborn. We had hoped to hold these banners high above the Parliament and we were shut down by the police. You're going to see that in this video, telling us that we have to remove it, that they forcibly remove us from the site from doing that, and they couldn't point to a single provision of the law that we'd actually broken. So you're going to see that in this video, but you're also going to see brave One Nation MPs come out, for the first time to one of our protests and speak for the unborn, defying all of the media hit pieces and doing it anyway. You're going to see Sarah Game come out, making history today with a bill that bans third trimester abortion. And you see here, these women with their mouths sealed shut. The reason their mouths are sealed shut is because these babies cannot scream. We can't hear their scream. There's been 3D imaging of babies in the womb and you can actually see their faces contort when they receive an injection. They cry, they're in pain, they wince, they gasp, and we don't hear it, we don't see it. We've completely dehumanised them. And so these women are here today to symbolise for the children that never get to speak, they never get to walk, they never get to breathe outside the womb, they never get to play, they never get to experience what it is to be human in our beautiful world. And so we're going to be their voice. If abortion is healthcare, then slavery is business. Which provision?
So I'm not going to sit here and argue legislation.
Well,
with you.
We've actually this is the artist, Elspeth McKellar. She painted these life-size paintings. We booked the steps. We booked the steps. No, we just need 10 minutes to get them up. That's all. And we spoke to someone at the start.
The entrance, okay, they've already said from Parliament House they want to take it down. So
we spoke to we want to speak to the person who ordered that because did that come from Peter Malinauskas who asked that question?
Well, I can try
Keep
to
going,
facilitate
James.
that, but in the time being, we need this stuff taken down.
Yeah, so bring it down.
No, well, we need. It's not a police state. It's not a police state. We want to know what law we've broken.
So,
what law have we broken? We just want to put up some paintings, life-size paintings, that this artist over here has painted. Do you want to come, Elspeth?
Is your failing to comply with the reasonable direction? If you don't comply with the reasonable direction?
But we would like to know what provision of the law that we've broken.
I'm not going to argue the law with you, right?
Well, I'm a lawyer, and we also have other people here, and we looked into this. Do you want to?
So do we have to break a law, right? What law are we breaking?
No. Babies are being killed right up until birth in South Australia. Children have no human rights protection in the womb through all 40 weeks of pregnancy. Babies have no voice. They cannot scream, they cannot shout. What happens is their heart is injected with poison, potassium chloride, straight into the heart of these children just like this. From 23 weeks, 24 weeks, 25 weeks, 26 weeks, 27 weeks, 28 weeks, 29 weeks, 30 weeks, 31 weeks, 32 weeks, 33 weeks, 34 weeks, 35 weeks, 36 weeks, 37 weeks, 38 weeks, 39 weeks, 40 weeks. Babies in the womb in South Australia have no human rights protection at all. There is no upper gestational limit for abortion. We have dehumanized these children children to such a great extent that we kill them right up until birth in this state. Laws were passed in this place in July 2021. And this place is meant to protect the weak and the vulnerable. The state is meant to protect the weak and the vulnerable.
We were enslaved. We recognise that that was wrong. We see that we dehumanised the men and women who were enslaved by metal chains. But how are the unborn any different? How are they not human? That is what the unborn children look like in the womb. That is not a clump of cells. That is not just a fetus. That is a baby. And they deserve the right to life. This is the gravest death toll, the greatest death toll the world has ever seen. In just Australia alone, it is 88,000 babies who are murdered every year. That is an abortion procedure. Ripping the hands, ripping the limbs of unborn children.
If abortion is healthcare, slavery is business. So we have here these hands. So that symbolises a dilation and evacuation abortion, where an abortionist goes in with metal forceps and rips the arms off a child. That's happened to over 400 babies since abortion up to birth was legalised in South Australia. They rip the arms off with metal forceps, they rip the legs off, they wrench it. Imagine if someone just wrenched your little finger.
It's heartbreaking, it's absolutely heartbreaking. And to see these images shows exactly what we're talking about and why we are pro-life.
Yeah.
But the problem with it is people are desperate to have children. We've got so many couples who want a baby.
Yeah.
We've got a population issue where we don't have the population, so we're going to have to bring in immigrants because we don't have the population. These babies that could be born alive should be born alive and adopted out. I don't know why we can't to be able to abort a baby at full term is not acceptable in this society.
Yeah, 100%. They passed the laws in this place under a lie. They said it was about decriminalisation and not sending women to jail. What they actually did was they removed all upper limits on abortion. So they removed it so that you could kill a baby right up until the moment of birth.
Yeah, it really breaks your heart, to be honest.
Let me show you the next painting. So the next painting is a child in the womb. So these are the children that we're killing through abortion up to birth in this state. And these are the children that have no human rights protection. Now, I know that you're very brave to come out as new politicians. The media will try and attack you for this. I mean, your leader, Pauline's been attacked by the media for decades, so you're in good hands there. But is there some fear for you ladies in speaking out? Because, you know, the feminazis are going to come for you.
If speaking out for the protection of babies, then so be it. You know, we're backing Pauline because she is a strong woman. She is a brave woman, and that's why we are backing her and One Nation.
Yeah.
And at One Nation, we don't back down from a tough fight. We do what is right, and we meet the expectations of the South Australian people. We are here, we've stuck our head out. We are not going to back down on fighting for South Australians and for unborn babies.
And South Australians would just be shocked to know that abortion is legal.
They don't know. A lot of them don't know this. I didn't know this until you told me. I didn't know about this.
Yeah, I know, and that's because they deliberately lie about it and the media covers it up, and that's what happens. So let me show you the last painting. And so here in the last painting we have the hand of an African man in chains to symbolise the fact that these babies are in chains, and we're not just buying and selling them, we're not just forcing them to labour, we're actually slaughtering them. And so if abortion is healthcare, which is the modern mantra, then slavery is business. In 18th century Britain, slavery was business. For the colour of my skin, people with the colour of your skin could enslave me, and that was business, that was industry, it was for the economic good of Great Britain. Now we're told, well, abortion is healthcare.
Well, what about the healthcare of the baby? What about the baby that has no voice? Where's its healthcare? Where's its advocacy? Just give birth to the baby. Third trimester abortion. Come on, third trimester abortion. Deliver the baby. The baby has to be delivered regardless. Deliver it alive, adopt it out. You solve two problems. And what about the mother? What about the mother? How many mothers are having depression or post-traumatic stress over it afterwards? Is it really in the best benefits of that mother?
I've just ordered you to take it down.
Yeah, it's a little bit annoying. We knew it was a long shot, but we were really hoping to get it up, and it's a bit disappointing not to be able to, but such is life. At least we're able to hold them up. Hopefully we will come back for Mark 2 at some point.
Oh yeah, we're going to come back. We're going to do this again. I think you did a great job.
Oh, thanks, love.
Elspeth, it didn't go up as planned. and I know you poured your heart into this project, but we still have them up. And, you know, if anything, we've got, you know, more attention.
These posters belong on Parliament. We need to take ownership of what's happening here in Parliament. We need to claim that these babies are human beings, and Parliament needs to have these hung up on its building.
For some Australians, these protests are examples of free speech in action. For others, they are attempts to pressure politicians through fear, public shaming, and confrontation. And that raises uncomfortable questions. When does activism become intimidation? When does protest become political coercion? Should elected officials be publicly targeted over moral votes? Or is the public pressure simply part of democracy? Dr Howe's activism has expanded far beyond university lecture halls. Over recent years, she has built a major online presence through speeches, videos, rallies, petitions, and direct lobbying campaigns focused on abortion law reform. Her supporters see her as courageous and unafraid to challenge the political institutions. Critics argue her rhetoric escalates hostility and division. One of the most controversial moments came after social media posts referring to politicians as part of Baby Killers Club, language condemned by opponents as inflammatory and dangerous. Critics claimed this kind of rhetoric risked encouraging harassment against MPs already facing security concerns. Supporters countered by arguing that strong moral language has always existed in political movements. They say activists throughout history have used provocative messaging to challenge laws they believe were unjust. That divide sits at the heart of the entire debate. Is harsh language necessary to force political change? Or does it poison public discourse and shut down genuine conversation? Questions have also been raised about Dr Howe's influence within conservative political circles and activist organisations. Her critics accuse her of spreading misinformation regarding abortion legislation and medical procedures. Howe has repeatedly rejected those accusations, insisting her work is evidence-based and grounded in legal and ethical concerns. Meanwhile, supporters claim mainstream media outlets deliberately attempt to discredit anti-abortion voices while protecting political elites and powerful institutions from scrutiny. That accusation taps into a broader distrust many Australians now feel toward media, government, and institutional authority itself. And perhaps that is why this story resonates beyond abortion alone. For many people watching from the sidelines, this is becoming a larger question about how influence operates in modern Australia. Who controls public narratives? Who gets protected by institutions? Which activists are celebrated? Which activists are condemned? And who decides the difference? Another major criticism levelled at Dr Howe concerns the emotional intensity of her campaigning. Opponents argue that graphic imagery, public confrontations, and emotionally charged messaging create fear and hostility around an already traumatic subject. Supporters argue the reality of abortion is itself confronting, and sanitising the conversation protects political comfort rather than truth. Again, the country splits in two. Some Australians see moral conviction, others see political extremism. And in the middle sits a growing audience exhausted by culture war politics altogether. Many Australians may not fully agree with either side. Some support abortion rights but dislike aggressive activism. Others oppose abortion but feel uncomfortable with confrontational tactics. Increasingly, the public debate feels less about persuasion and more about domination. Win the narrative, control the outrage cycle, force the opposition into the defensive. The formula is now common across almost every political issue in the modern internet age. But there is another layer to this story that deserves attention. What role should universities play in political activism? Dr Howe is not simply an online commentator. She's an academic. She brings added authority, influence, and scrutiny. Critics argue academics should maintain greater neutrality when engaging in emotionally explosive public debates. Supporters argue universities should never silence scholars simply because their views are controversial. That tension is growing worldwide. Should academics remain detached observers, or should they actively fight for causes they believe are morally right? No matter where Australia stands on abortion itself, one thing is clear. The national debate is becoming more confrontational, more personal, and more politically weaponised. The days of quiet disagreement are gone. Now the fight happens online, at rallies, on parliament steps, through viral clips, pressure campaigns, hashtags, petitions, and outrage. And Australians are left to decide whether that is healthy democratic participation or something darker emerging inside the country's political culture. So there's the question for the viewers. Is Dr Howe exposing uncomfortable truths the political system wants hidden? And is this the rise of a more aggressive style of activist pressure in Australia? Where should the line be drawn, and who gets to draw it? This was brought to you by the Aussie Report.